Hello, my sweet and precious students. Welcome back. Algebra 1, third edition, lesson 48. We're talking about polynomials today. Here's what you need to know about polynomials. They are just chunks broken up by addition, subtraction. What we do is we take these polynomials and we classify them in two different ways, and we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about adding those today. For example, I have a polynomial down here. I'm just jumping a little bit ahead so you can kind of see. See how, ignore this plus sign right there. It's x to the third plus 3x squared plus 2. You see that first chunk right in there? That is a polynomial. Each one of those chunks are considered a term, so we're going to be talking about that. Basically, they look like this. This has to be a real number. This guy has to be positive. Spelling, not my favorite. Okay, so what does that mean? We're going to classify this by degree, and we're going to classify it by the number of terms. Take, for example, that one that I have down here. X to the third plus 3x squared plus 2. That guy right there. We're going to first talk about the degree. That's always your highest exponent. If they're not in order, you need to put them in order. Like if these two things were swapped around, I would need to put those guys in order. If it is 0 degree, and what I mean by that, 16. That's a polynomial, but it's a 0 degree. Why, might you ask? Because if I put x to the 0 power, remember anything to the 0 power is 1. 16 times 1 is 16. Therefore, we're allowed to do that. So I'll put that in parentheses so you remember that. That is called a constant because it doesn't change. We got nothing there that's going to change it. Constant. All right, what about a degree of 1? Degree of 1. That is called a linear term. Linear term. And you may remember when we talked about linear terms, we talked about y equals mx plus b. Well, actually, you may not have talked about this yet in the Saxon book, but for those of you who are watching who are not in the Saxon book, you may have already talked about this. And what that means is right here, we have a 1 right there. And so that's our 1 degree is a linear term or a line. 2 degrees would be a quadratic, and you'll get to that at the end of Algebra 1, and I love it. Those are my favorite. 3 would be a cubic. I had to think about that. 4 would be a quadric, and 5 is a quintic. You can, for 4 and 5, you can say just 4th degree, 5th degree. I think that's fine too, but just keep that in mind. And then this guy is 5th degree. All right, so then what about the number of terms? Let's take a look at my example back up here. We have 1, 2, 3 terms. Terms are broken up by addition and subtraction. Addition and subtraction. If you have just one term there, that is a monomial. Monomial. Just one. Mono. 2 is a binomial. That means 2. 3 is a trinomial, and 4 is going to be a 4 plus, I should put that there. 4 and above is going to be a polynomial. Spelling's not my forte today. I don't know what that's all about. So it's going to be a polynomial here. All right, so let's talk about some of these examples where we're adding these guys. Adding. All right, I like this because what they're currently in parentheses, but for that first one, we don't need to, we can just take everything out of parentheses here because we have a plus sign. So we get x to the third plus 3x squared plus 2. Now, I could just say plus 2x to the third plus 4, except that I want to line these guys up. So I'm going to say, see if that's x to the third? I'm going to throw that right here. 2x to the third plus 4. I'm going to put that guy right down in there. I think that will make it nice and easy. I'm going to get a little bit closer so you guys can see. All right, remember there's always a 1 in front here, so 1x, that's going to give me 3x to the third plus 3x squared plus 6 because I'm adding all those guys together. Now, so that's your answer. You can't combine anything else because there are no other like terms to combine there. All right, so let's talk about this guy. This one has a subtraction in here, so you have to do a little bit of extra work. Remember, there's a 1 right in front of here. We have to distribute that -1 all the way across. So I'm going to rewrite this guy, 3x to the 4th minus 2x squared plus 3. Now I'm going to say minus x to the 4th. So I'm going to say minus x to the 4th. And negative times a negative, let's just write these here so you see it. Negative times a negative would be a positive third, right? negative times a positive would be a negative x squared. So now I'm going to take these things here, I'm going to bring them down right underneath here. Oh, well, but see, look at this, 2x to the third. I can't really line that up here because it's missing. So I'm going to put like 2 plus 2x to the third. I'll squeeze that in there. I probably should have left a spot when I rewrote that. And then minus x squared. All right, so what we have here is 3 minus 1 is 2x to the fourth plus 2x to the third, and then I've got this guy right here, my x squareds, negative 2 and negative 1 is going to be negative 3x squared plus 3. I realize with this minus here that looks a little bit confusing, but we're adding the opposite of what these guys were. We're adding these guys here. So just be cautious on your signs. We'll do a couple more so you can see. All right, let's take a look at this one. Oh, see, exactly, this is a negative. These guys are in order and there's none missing, so I won't have that mistake that I made on the last one. So we've got 3x to the third plus 2x squared minus x plus 4. Minus, I'm going to rewrite these so I don't mess it up. Remember, there's a 1 here that we need to distribute, so plus 7x plus 5. So I'm going to take all that garbage and put it down underneath here. So negative x squared plus 7x plus 5, and we're going to add all those guys together. Well, my first one is just going to be brought down, 3x to the third, and 2 minus 1 is 1, so we're going to do plus 1x squared plus 6x plus 9. There we go. There's our answer right there. All right, guys. Practice problems are right here. They're in the book. We're on page 195 if you're following along at home. Go ahead and pause the video, do the practice problems, come on back, and let's make sure you got them right. All right, so for this guy right here, I have a negative 1 I have to distribute. So I'm going to do that. Negative 1, so I get negative 3x to the fifth minus 6x to the fourth plus 7x to the third. Now notice I don't have an x squared or an x. So what I'm going to do is just plus 0x squared plus 0x, because that gives me a little placeholder so that I can match some things up here. And minus, oh wait, no, plus 5, because this times this gives me plus 5. All right, and we're allowed to multiply anything by 0 because we get 0, and we're allowed to add 0 to anything because it doesn't affect our outcome. All right, so plus all this garbage, so I don't have to change signs. So I'm going to do plus x to the fifth minus x, oh, whoops, I wrote squared, but I meant fourth here. My bad. Minus x to the fourth plus 3x squared minus 2x minus 8. So there's a missing x third there, so I'm just going to do plus 0x to the third, so it keeps it all nice and organized, and we're adding all those things together. Negative 3 and 1 is negative 2x, so we end up with, I'll write it down here so you can see it, negative 2x to the fifth, negative 6, negative 1, negative 7x to the fourth plus 7x to the third plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 13. Okay, so that should be your first one. There's nothing else we can combine there, so we'll just leave it like that. All right, so for our next one, we're going to list these guys out. Notice that they're out of order though. You gotta make it so it's in order. That's called standard form. And just like clean it up a little, it's a little nicer. So I say that and then I immediately copy it down wrong. So let's start with this, x to the fourth. There's no x to the third, so I'm gonna put 0x to the third plus 3x squared minus 6x plus 2. Okay, now I have to change my sign on all of these, and so I don't want to mess it up, so I'm just going to do it like this. Negative 15x to the fourth minus 2x to the third plus 6x squared minus 5x plus 3. Did I change all those signs? I sure did. Okay, so I'm going to take all these guys and throw them down here. So I have minus 15x to the fourth minus 2x to the third plus 6x squared minus 5x plus 3. All right, so I've got all these guys here now. We're going to add those together. So 1 plus a negative 15 is going to be negative 14x to the fourth minus 2x to the third plus 9x squared minus 11. Oh, it's kind of hard to see. Minus 11x plus 5. That is our big fat answer. So if you have any questions, let me know down below. If I made a mistake, let me know down below. Otherwise, I will see you in our next lesson. Thanks, guys.